But much of it is private. Can we make it public and therefore more appealing?
I said that we can do that for the social benefit of becoming for one day the green president of the world, to establish a green law for everybody else.
Okay, so you could create some kind of social attention onto something and create some activity. Yeah. Taxes, right? Just charge people, right? You could say people don't do it for the right reason. The phrase we use is get people to do the right thing for the wrong reason, right? The right reason should be that they care about the planet. There are many wrong reasons. This is one of them. Yeah. Shame. Yeah. We are in Israel after all. We shouldn't come up early. So you could shame, right? Like a virtual mother that.
In Canada, they put all the garbage cans outside in public buildings. So if you go with your garbage bag and put something that has, like plastic, but you put it in the organic, basically the neighbors will see it.
Okay. Yeah. So
if you look around you, I don't think it really. You look out the window. Shame doesn't go with you.
well, let's.
Your neighbors, like the one you live in.
By the way, shame is complex in this case because if you see lots of trash on the ground, and it's very hard to create the marginal shame for throwing one piece additional. But if it's clean, then the first piece has a shame component. 1 second. Yeah.
I think that removing the context. I mean, instead of doing it something big, I know that in the Efteling in the Netherlands, they have this face that says papier here, throw paper here, and when you go by it, it's just like you have the urge to throw papers in it, and then it makes like this verb and says thank you, and it's all the way from the 70s, and what you see is that kids are actually running around collecting garbage and putting, and it's in the Netherlands, they don't have a lot of garbage.
So you can do all kinds of things that look fun or exciting.
No, just remove, I'm saying remove the fact of you're helping global warming. You're
not doing it for that, you're doing it for something immediate. Let me switch, we'll come back to this. Imagine a more specific problem. There's a medication called Coumadin. Coumadin is an anti-stroke medication, it's a relatively good anti-stroke medication, reduces chance of a second stroke dramatically. Everybody who had a stroke should take Coumadin, people don't take it on time. Now, if we want to use reward substitution, we need two things. We need to measure that people are taking or not taking the medication, and we need to either reward or punish them. So there's technology now, there's quite a few of them, called internet-enabled pillboxes. These are pillboxes that can basically, right now they measure when somebody opens the pillbox, not when they take it, but let's assume that they measure when somebody's taking the pill. If you were going to try and reward people for taking the pill on time or punish them when they don't, what kind of things would you try? You're designing now the app for medical adherence and compliance.
So in that case, I would notify someone else. If you're not taking care of yourself, it's okay. But if someone knows that you're gonna leave me here alone.
Okay. So we go back to guilt and shame. Your parents. Yeah, that's fine. Parents, kids, somebody else who would apply social pressure on you. What else?
I would let them watch movies.
You would let them watch movies. Okay, very good. Some other reward, right? Chocolate-covered pill, something like that. What else?
Price pressure.
Sorry?
Price pressure, where medicine like either cost less if you take them or cost more if you don't.
Okay, so you could change the price of the medication. That's of course useful. The problem is that people usually buy medication for a while, so it will be an amount of money in the future. And what happens is that future money is less effective. So if you say $100 in a year from now, it's not that much for today. There was somebody, yeah.
Something like Tamagotchi that would die if you don't take the medicine.
Okay, some gamification elements, like there's a little animal that dies if you don't take it on time. Yeah, behind?
Maybe we'll contribute the money to noble cause like Flood in Africa or something like that.
Yeah, contributing the money is actually very interesting, right? So let's say we did actually an experiment in which we gave people $3 a day to take the medication on time. What do you think happened? Absolutely nothing. What do you think would happen if we gave people $1,000 a day to take the medication on time?
Might work.
I'm sure it will work. We didn't try it for obvious reasons. It's not an experiment you want to do because, what's the point, right? We don't have that money. But what you're leaning toward is to say, can we take a small amount of money and make it look bigger? So imagine that every morning there's a kid in Africa that appears on your computer and says good morning to you. And they say that their food for the rest of the day will depend on whether you take your medication or not. And they promise to come and say good night to you before you go to sleep. But it's kind of interesting, right? That there are some things that money for us, even though you could take the $3 to give to charity, if it goes directly, sometimes it can be more appealing in specific ways. Yeah?
Get a call from your doctor.
Do what?
Get a call from
A call from the doctor. So the same way we said family and so on, the doctor can also be?
Reverse contribution.
Reverse contribution.
Your $3 would go to the Nazi party.
Yes, so, very good. So there's a couple of ways to think about it. The next thing we tried is we took money away from people. So we said, what if people lose money? And it turns out it's better than giving people money. It's more motivating. People hate losing. But the idea here is that you give money to somebody you really hate. And you don't want to see that money go to them.
There is something for dogs. If you send SMS, he gets a treating, like some treating machine.
A treat machine. Okay, so you get something else. By the way, I think the phones are almost the perfect behavioral control platform. We're all addicted to our phones. We all check them way too frequently. Part of it is the randomness, right? Email comes in and intervals that somebody else decided for you. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not that good. But from time to time, it's really exciting. That also creates this cycle of checking email all the time. And if you think about it, what if not taking the medication would block SMS, so would block internet, right? Incredibly powerful because the addiction for the phone is so high. Okay, so I told you we paid people money, it didn't work, we took them amount of money, it worked. But the two most interesting things, we tried lotteries. What do you think happens if we give people 10% chance of making $30? That's better than $3. But the nicest experiment was done by George Lowenstein, and he combined lotteries and regret. So what is regret? Regret is about the fact that our happiness is not driven by where we are, it's driven by where we think we could have been. So we compare our own reality to this other reality. And if this other reality is great, we feel terrible. And if this other reality is terrible, we feel wonderful. Right? So if you all had a startup that you could have joined at some point and they did very well, you have this contrast. I wish I was in that reality. For example, when would you be more unhappy? If you missed your flight by 2 minutes or by 2 hours? Why? Your physical state is the same. You have to wait in the airport for the next flight. But in the 2-minute case, you can imagine the reality being different. You can say, if the light changed a little faster, if the person in line in front of me did not have all these suitcases, if the person in the checking counter, the ticket agent had one more IQ point. 2 points. All of those making it feel like it's almost there. So, and if you missed it by 2 hours, there's no almost. By the way, there was a very nice study in which they looked at how big was the smile on people who won medals in the Olympics. And you would think it'll be gold, silver, bronze. No. Gold, bronze, silver. Why? Because imagine you practiced for the last 4 years, and a minute and a half ago, you got the silver medal. 4 years you practiced every day, and a minute and a half ago, you got the silver medal. What are you thinking? This close. And if you got the bronze, what are you thinking? At least I'm here, look at everybody else. And probably if you think about lots of aspects of your own life, you can also think about cases in which your happiness is not driven by where you are, it's driven by a contrast to somebody else. So how do you bring this to the experiment? Imagine all of you are on Coumadin. And all of you on the right side, my right side, take the medication, left side, not. If we just use lotteries, I take all of you, sample 10%, give you the lottery tickets. If I try to add regret, I give a lottery ticket to everybody, whether you took the medication or not. And if you didn't take the medication, you got the lottery, I call you up and I say, congratulations, it's your lucky day, the stars are smiling on you. sadly. I see you did not take the pill today, so you're not getting the money. This is the essence of regret. Now you can think about one small step you could have taken earlier in the day that would put you on the other side of this fence. And together, lotteries and regret increase compliance from about 65% to about 98%. Now, so the bad news is that people behave as if we don't care about our long-term welfare. The good news is that we can think about re-engineering the environment to get people to behave in a way that is more consistent with our long-term welfare. Plus, we can do what we call supersizing the incentive. Of course, if we had a ton of money, we can motivate people in all kinds of ways, but without a ton of money, we can do all kinds of other things. We could take money, we can take points, we can do ladder boards, we can create competition, guilt, we can lock refrigerators, turn off SMS, use lotteries, use regret. All of those tools are available for us to try and think about how we get people to behave as if they care. I want to very quickly just talk about one other mechanism for the same problem, which is called Ulysses contracts. And if you remember the story of Ulysses from the mythology, Ulysses knew that if the sirens will come, he will be tempted. He knew he will be tempted, so what did he do? He asked his sailors to tie him to the mast, so he could hear the sirens call but could not follow them. And he asked the sailors to put wax in their ears, so they couldn't even hear the temptation. This is a very different way of thinking about temptation. This is about knowing up front that we might fail and doing something now that would eliminate our future ability to fail. So actually, anybody have ever tried something in your own personal life to make sure that your future self is not going to be tempted?
I am not watching TV for the past more than 10 years.
You're not watching TV. How? How do you do it?
I remove the TV from my
You remove a TV, right? So here's a mechanism. You say, if I don't have a TV, I'll watch less TV. I want to. Now you could say, I'll have a TV, I'll have it open, but I'll not watch. Or you could say, I'll have a TV, but I will not open it. But you went a step ahead. You said, I know I'm weak, so let me eliminate temptation.